All right, so good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is, I'll name this segment later, GTG Spit That Grease. You guys already know the rest of that. And if the title hasn't already given me away yet, it appears that Smart Guys is gone, is done, has been wage quitted, so on and so forth. The reality is that it hasn't. I've already told you guys all of this. I'm not gonna say that I predicted this, but I had already said it. Plenty of other people have kind of have also reinforced what I said as and how this was going to play out. It's nothing new, to be honest. Yesterday was the 21st. I did not watch the last Smart Guys episode because I didn't need to. One of the reasons why that is one of the reasons why, honestly, is because of how it was formatted. The show was set up to fail. This last show for a while, or on hiatus, or however which way he wants to go about it. It was set up to fail because, one, it should have been, he kind of tried to make it out to be, it should have been a panel of all of the previous guests that he had, which was Ethan, Ralph, Cypress, and then whoever the other guy was at the end that was there trying to push his PPP agenda. There should have been a panel. Should have been a 4-man panel, and they should have had a bit of a round table. Now, it's my understanding that Cypress didn't even show up. Probably didn't think it was worth his time. He got hit. He got hit about his teeth, or about his grill, pretty hard last time, so he probably didn't want nothing to do with that. So it is what it was. Ethan showed up because of course he did, and the third guy, his name does not mean anything to me. He did show up as well. It should have been a panel. It just should have been a 4-man panel, and they should have just gone about it that way. I think it would have been far more engaging. He may have actually have hit the first goal if he had, whatever. But let's talk about why it was structured the way it was. Well, of course Ethan was going to be there first. Ethan was coming in. There was going to be view bots on that shit, not directly because of Ethan, I should say, but that's what happened last time. And DSP was depending on the money that Ethan brings with him to kind of carry the day. Obviously he gambled wrong because the first time was a freebie. There was no way Ethan was going to have any of his peoples throw money at DSP to continue on with it. That time is gone, as long gone. Ethan has moved on to other things. So no. But Ethan was supposed to be the setup. Get a bunch of viewers in there, then hopefully get a bunch of bots in there to inflate the stream to make it look like there's more people watching than it really were. Hopefully hit some money, and then bring the other two guys on who were going to obviously cause the decline. But it didn't matter because he would have that initial bump, or that initial rub, if you will, and that initial pop. And he was hoping that was gonna carry for the rest of the stream, and it failed. Obviously, it was just poor planning, to be honest with you. And that, and just the demand for seeing Ethan up there is just that's kind of already faded off. That's why Ethan has moved on to other shit as well. And the other two guests is just a moot point. The truth is that Smart Guys was done the moment PPP left. Just as I said it was going to. The moment PPP left, Smart Guys was done. The Grill Phil segment was the big draw, I think. But if you're talking about actually carrying the show as it pertains to wrestling, that DSP needed PPP. Honestly, he's scared of Ethan, and he don't respect the other two guys. He didn't respect Cypress because that's one of his mods, and that's just someone he just beats up on emotionally anyway. And then the third guy, he only brought him up there to get dirt on PPP, aka Triple P. So you know what I'm saying? Like he always needed PPP. He always needed Kino Casino to prop his ass up, which I have another video coming, probably be out in a couple days, if not next week, where I'm gonna ask, because I think it needs to be, was Kino Casino DSP's last chance? Was it really his last opportunity, if you will? But we'll save that. But it's coming. It's coming. But the reality is, though, is that since PPP left, and the show's been dead, to be honest with you. You couldn't fill it. All three of those guys who came up there later may very well care about wrestling, but they're not useful in the way that PPP was. You know what I'm saying? It's just the reality of it. DSP's scared of Ethan, Ralph, and then, like I said, the other two were just kind of there. Without the financial support that not only keeps Kino Casino going, but also to be there to prop up DSP and Smart Guys. Smart Guys was bound to fail, and it did. And to be honest with you, he needed to. And as I called it, he wasn't going to make it past I didn't see it going past WrestleMania. And you'll find this in one of my previous broadcasts. I said if it does, he'll only report on the special events or the big events that come up as it pertains to pay-per-view or whatever's large in wrestling at that time, or at least for the WWE. That's it. He doesn't have any, he doesn't want to see what AAA is doing. He's not, he doesn't care about New Japan. He doesn't care about AEW. He doesn't give a shit about any of that stuff. It's too much for him to follow anyway, nor does he care. It's funny though. He didn't mind investing hundreds of dollars into a brand new tablet so he could take notes while he's watching it. But, you know, according to some of the clips that I saw, big ups to Memology, big ups to Raw Phil. I think I might have seen a Hogan video where DSP is basically ready to pack it all up. I mean, let's be honest, he just doesn't care about wrestling. He needs someone that's going to carry him, you know, kicking and screaming. He needs someone who really is devoted to the shit that he can just bounce off of and give an opinion on. That's it. And then PPP already admitted that he was basically prepping DSP before the shows anyway, because DSP was just skimming through them if he was even watching them at all. Truth be told, DSP was more than likely just watching clips on Twitter like he always has, or X, and then he would just run off that. You know, it is what it is. For all we know, DSP was never even buying any of the events. I mean, hell, PPP and Ethan Ralph were trying to get him on an outlaw type connection so he could watch the events, the weekly events, as well as the pay-per-views without even paying for it. Which the fact that any real wrestling fan knows where to find that stuff anyway. So it doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. I'm just kidding. You don't have to be a real wrestling fan to figure out where to find the illegal streams and stuff for. But, you know what I'm saying? For those who really want to know, you can find it. For the most part. Yeah, he just didn't care. He just didn't care. You know what I'm saying? The whole Smart Guys premise was predicated on PPP and Kino Casino. So it's only fair that it failed. It's only fair, I should say, that it's falling apart. And thank goodness, to be honest with you. It wasn't helping. You know what I mean? But the irony of it is what's DSP going to go back to? DSP smells it. DSP tries it. The Bottom Bitch podcast, the gameplay isn't working anymore. Like, what do we have left now that Smart Guys has theoretically been put on a extended hiatus? And DSP smells it's not going to happen. The only thing he really has that means a damn is the Bottom Bitch podcast, because everybody's waiting for the hot take that he's going to have something stupid to say, inevitably. And then the DSP tries this, where he's literally speed running his way to diabetes, which theoretically Cat already beat him there. But you know what I mean? Outside of those two things, no one gives a shit about DSP. So as far as I'm concerned, it's just one more domino that's fallen. It won't be missed, to be honest with you. And PPP can keep moving, to be honest with you, just like everybody else. And truth be told, there is a market. There is a market for, or the market for wrestling, I should say, is huge. Not just on YouTube, not just on Twitch, not just on Kick, but you see a lot of these wrestling spaces on Twitch/X, right? People stream that, and then you have those what do you call them? I guess they call them spaces, where a bunch of people go in there and talk about it, whatever. Some of those guys are smart and actually records the shit, and then they turn that shit into content. You know what I'm saying? More of those battle rappers need to do that shit too. If not, they're just putting out all that free content, and then the bloggers, the bloggers are the ones who just take that shit and post it on their channels. Anyway, there's plenty of space out there for it. You know what I'm saying? PPP could easily do it by himself. Him and hell, like I said, I'm still of the thought that Triple P and fucking Ethan Ralph could have a wrestling show and shit. It could be just completely confrontational, and I think that shit would sell. It would actually sell. I think it would actually move. The two of them just need to get their heads out of their own asses to make it happen. But it could be lucrative. I mean, it's just gonna divulge into fucking blood sports, but still, it'd be fun for a while. But that's it. Yet another market that DSP had heavily invested into or tried to, and he failed miserably. Just like how he invested so much money into the FGC, or he tried to, back into the fighting game stuff with the onset and then the eventual release of Street Fighter 6, and look at how that all crashed and burned. This is just par for the course. You know, over the 14 episodes or however many months Smart Guys went, he made himself a boatload of money, but he couldn't sustain it because, truth be told, he was never a fan of it. He was too lazy. He was too codependent on somebody else. So it only made sense it was going to fall apart. It's not a matter of if it was going to fail. It was always a matter of when. And so, you know, I think nothing was lost with the end of Smart Guys. I mean, good riddance. Good riddance. Because Lord knows you want anybody in PR from any wrestling org, right? To sit there and watch a Darksydephil stream and think this is what a demographic of wrestling fans are, or who they are, or what they are. As we've all learned, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who've been paying attention, as it pertains to gaming, from the GDC conference where DSP was displayed as a very good guinea pig, as it pertains to that God of War simulation that they were doing up there. You don't need DSP, Darksydephil, Phil Burnell, Dark Geppetto's fucking influencing anything else. You know what I'm saying? Wrestling's already problematic as it is for various reasons. The last thing any of these organizations need is the belief that a large demographic of wrestling fans are like Darksydephil. You guys don't want that. You really don't. And a few years ago, when that GDC thing came out, and people like myself were like, "Hey, look at what this asshole's doing to games. He's not the only person, but look at the influence that he's had on it." And people kind of brushed that off, and now games are fundamentally getting worse as the prices are starting to go up. And this is before the tariff, so you know you can't even say that. Can't even blame it on the government with that one. You don't need DSP's influence on anything else. You really don't. You don't really need anybody from like any of these PC companies, for example, to look at Darksydephil and start dumbing down the software and hardware upkeep, if not just general maintenance, if you will, of computer components, or just updating fucking software, because mongoloids like DSP can't figure that shit out. You really don't. So I think if you're a wrestling fan, I think it was funny to watch DSP, as the poser he is, by the way, expose himself in front of people and to be publicly humiliated. He speaks on, I got a video that'll follow this. He speaks on how he didn't say he was disappointed, but that's what he was implying, that he didn't make a mark in the wrestling podcast situation or in any wrestling circles. Like no one ever said anything. Or mentioned anything about him. He didn't get a boost in revenue or views or whatever. And he said how he didn't ask for any more than what he gets on any of the other shows. The reality is that PPP's name really kind of got a boost and was passed around certain wrestling circles. Not DSP. Of course not. Of course no one was going to speak on DSP except for like maybe Wrestling Holics maybe made a joke at his fucking expense. Other than that, no one else was going to, because why would they give him the attention? Why would they bother with it? He's not worth the trouble. So there's that. I mean, that's it. Like I said, he'll try to bring it back when he thinks he can profit from it. Outside of that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pretty sure I already have a video in the works. If not, I've already recorded it. I think Smart Guys really just proves, one, that DSP was always a fraudulent fan. To be honest with you, he was not a fan of wrestling. He's a fan of WWE. To be honest. And truth be told, he's probably really only a fan of like people like CM Punk. And nothing against Phil, the other Phil. That's CM Punk's first name, by the way. Phil Brooks. Actually, I'm pretty confident that's what his name is. Nothing against Phil. But you know, the business is bigger than CM Punk.
He basically, these texts, I'm not going to go word for word because that's what happened to me. I'm not going to do that, but he basically expressed that he wants to kind of work things out.
Yeah.
But he really doesn't, because you saw what he did on Thanksgiving. So it was basically like an ultimatum kind of thing. Like, if you don't fucking talk to me, respond to me right now, then I'm going to go publicly and try to fuck you, publicly.
Yeah.
So you're not really apologetic if you're doing that. You're not really trying to make things right. And you're really not hurt by the situation. Okay? Like, if you and I had a problem, Howie, which you never know,
I know, right?
And I felt really bad that you're not speaking to me. I'm probably not going to make the things worse.
No,
By saying shit like whatever he said, the insults that he said in a public video.
yeah, and
It's almost like he's always got to try to save face. I'm the winner. There's no winner in this situation, man.
And I would try to address it personally versus doing it the way he does. And personally, I'll be completely honest with you, John. I really think that he watches too much WWE because it feels like, no, I'm not lying, dude. It feels like, if it really feels like he tries to make his channel like that, where it's full of drama. It's all drama, just to try to create controversy so that he can get more views.
Yeah, and we're feeding into it right now.
And we're feeding into it right now.
Like I said, he's still finding ways to monetize us after this time, but
yeah.
Let's bring up that. So WWE Smart Guys, man. People often ask him like, "Are you doing Smart Guys?" And he'll just throw me under the bus. Like, it's up to John. It's 100% on him if we'll do it. I got some text from him from last summer where he's basically like, "Let me know when you want to do Smart Guys, so I'll start watching wrestling again." So what that says to me is like, you're not really a fan of it. You don't really watch it. You will watch it if you could make a video about it, and you're going to make a video about it because you want to monetize a video.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just really weird, Like I'll start watching when you let me know that we're going to do the show. Otherwise, I'm not going to fucking look at it. I don't know. Let's go to Thanksgiving last year, man. I'm just trying. We only got maybe a couple things here left just to get out of here.
It just proves that he's a fraud. It proves that he's a fake. It proves everything that John had said all those years ago about, was DSP really a wrestling fan or whatnot? Or did he do it just because he could profit from it? I think all of that has made itself incredibly relevant, and we've come full circle. And I think that right there should hurt DSP more than anything. That literally you can't do anything by yourself unless there's someone there to help you. As it pertains to DSP tries it, and this is just a personal theory, I have no proof of this, nor am I accusing anybody of anything. I honestly think that those DSP tries it are literally just another way for people to bring DSP low in a very slow, methodical way. To be honest with you, I don't know if it's a dent tractor or dent tractors or whatever the case may be, or just trolls in general. But I think that's honestly what that shit is. It's just a bunch of people slowly but surely breaking DSP down and basically taking his health away from him slowly. And though I do not encourage giving DSP money, and I still don't, that's a pretty methodical way of going about it. And the reality is it's not just Darksydephil, it's Cat too. And sometimes, and this is really unfortunate, sometimes the best way to really hurt Phil or hurt DSP or to stifle Darksydephil is to stifle the people around him. So think about it this way. You buy DSP you get DSP all these DSP tries and shit, right? Obviously he's ordering food for Cat too. She's obviously not healthy, we already know that. So her eating that is just gonna pack on more pounds. Phil barely eats all the shit that he does, and he orders anyway. So it's gonna either get thrown away or it's gonna go to the human garbage disposal, which is his wife, which is just putting more burden on him. So he's packing on a bunch of extra fucking calories that he don't need, but he drinks more than he eats anyway, so it probably doesn't really matter. So she's the one that ends up carrying that burden. If she gets so goddamn sick where she can't work and DSP is forced to take care of her, that puts further stress on Phil, which means that puts further stress on the audience, which means we get more desperate content. And truth be told, we probably get more rage Phil content. I'll expand upon this later on in another video if I remember to. But I've been thinking about that for a while. He doesn't have to hit a DSP tries it twice a week like he wants to. It just needs to be hit. And let's be honest, there's no cooking that's really going on in that house anyway. They heat up food. And we already know that Cat's sick. Do I think she has cancer like DSP implied to PPP in those Discord messages? No, but I do believe she is sick. And this right here is just another thing to throw on there. It's another log on the fire, if you will. I know it sounds sick, and it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if that turns out to be the case. And Phil don't see it because, hey, I'm getting in the money. People seem to enjoy this, even though the viewership's garbage, and he's mocked about it. He's mocked for it, I should say, relentlessly. But he isn't thinking about, or nor does he care about all the weight that Cat's put on over the years. He clearly is not bothered by it until it's brought up, and it's, you know, he gets mocked for it. But he's not doing anything to change it. So, to be honest with you, as a troll, you know what I'm saying, or as a dent or whatever, if you're wanting to really put a burden on DSP, how do you do that? You do that with the people that are around him. You know what I mean? The wrestling podcast isn't going to exist because DSP can't draw any names who he can bring in that he can leech off of. You know what I mean? Like that encounter between Ethan, Ralph, and Duty didn't do Duty any favors, and it gave Ethan a pretty good idea of what the scenario and the landscape looks like. It's not going to be beneficial to him in the way that he initially thought. That's just me guessing. I have no clue. So that exchange didn't help. So if Duty was hoping to push the envelope, he failed miserably. You know what I mean? And Ethan exiting out or moving on to whoever his next target is, or targets, was probably the most beneficial thing for him. Yet again, we're right back to DSP tries it. Until people aren't willing to pay for that, or until Cat gets so sick that he can't bother doing it. And I'm drawing the parallels with Catherine getting sick to that of Foodie Beauty. I know most of you guys aren't really like following that. I got a couple of videos in the clip. I just need to give the go to put those out. But she's gonna be back on her way back to Canada soon. She's gonna have to, because the healthcare in Kuwait is hella expensive and she can't afford it. She's gonna have to go back home. And once she does, she's gonna have to get on a waiting list. She's in a far worse situation than she was when she first left 2.5-3 years ago. And a lot of the parallels that you see with Foodie Beauty and Amber Lynn to some degree, you could equate to Cat. It's really, really silly. Like I said, I'll start pulling the trigger on some of that stuff as we move forward and whatnot, because you got to see it and whatnot. I'm gonna have to go back and give you guys some of the old stuff, but I enjoy going back and giving you guys the old stuff anyway. So that's a thing. But that's where we're at. You know what I'm saying? As it pertains to Smart Guys, fuck it. It is what it was. It was funny for the time that PPP was there, and after that it was disregarded. And if you're a troll, you know what I'm saying, you have a few avenues that you can keep going at them. But the reality is maybe, just maybe, unless you're trying to knock Cat out of position to turn her into a further burden for Darksydephil, it might be best to starve DSP out. That might be the best way to go about it, I think. But it's your money, do what you want. Any case, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. I will catch you guys for the next one of these, whenever that may be, hopefully sooner than later. And this has been, I'll name the segment later, GTG Spits That Grease. And let me go ahead and get on to this this whole death of or semi-retirement of Smart Guys. That's the video that should follow this one. And let me go ahead and get on that right now while it's still fresh in my head to do so. And I'm looking to get a good laugh out of it. And I'll catch you guys for the next one. Take care of yourselves, people. Later. Woo, snap.